to Windows to install Python. By far, Windows is the most popular operating system. And in this edition, we will look at how to install Python on your computer. Please note this warning. And the warning says Python 3.9 plus, which is the ones which will continue to get support in the future. So this is my strong recommendation that you install 3.9 plus. So far, we are not anything that is explicitly 3.9 plus, but I would recommend that you use the latest or one step behind the latest. So for now, I'm going to just go with the latest, and I click on save. The save is done. I have done this before, so you can see that there. Now, as I said, I will say where I want this installed, and let that run. So it's installing a certain set of components on Windows. You click on that, and once you're done, you click on close. So really speaking, at this point, Python is installed. Click on all programs, you'll see Python is installed. Let's just see if it's actually installed. So if you see Python 3.13 is actually installed, you can type exit and you do that as a function to terminate it. So that's how simple it is to install Python on your computer. Now, the other thing which we need is we need a development tool for us to work with this, like you had Jupyter Notebook. So what we will do is we will just Google VS Code, right? So Visual Studio Code, another great contribution from Microsoft, and I'm going to download that. So the setup is being saved. It will take a little longer for me to get that out. This is just 27 MB. It's about 100 MB, so it'll just take a little longer. In the meanwhile, let's just come to the run command and type cmd. And that's not available because we don't know where Python is, right? So we'll sort this out eventually, but let's just focus on understanding the fact that Python, though I could run it from here, I could not really get hold of Python from the prompt. Okay, so what should we do while the download happens? So let's look at some things that you can do. So as Python is here, you can right click here, look at properties, and it will tell you where it is. So this is where Python is being installed. And then again you come to this and type search for env. Environment variables is what you look for. You look for this variable called path. You edit it and you add a new path, which is this, right? And click OK. Okay. So what we have done in this process is to tell tell Windows where you can find Python. And let's see if we have succeeded. And we have, right? So exit function. While we are getting on to installing other tools, let me tell you there's a very exciting build which is coming for Python, which is 3.14, which changes a lot of things, but that can be done in another session since you are not there yet. Eventually you will get there. So, but it's exciting. So if you are curious enough, do go and check it out. You accept the agreement, It's free to use. There's nothing to worry about it. So is Python. So much so with Python that Python is open source, which means the source code of Python is available to everybody and anybody in the world. So we are getting the VS Code installed onto your computer. VS Code is your development environment. We'll see that in a moment. So what you're looking at here is VS Code. I like to use the dark when I'm doing development. I use the modern dark, which is slightly less darker. Okay, and then if you see here on this sidebar, it says extensions, right? You could search for Python. If you can see, Python is right there, but if you can't find it there on the top, and type Python and you'll find it. I would suggest that because you're on Windows, you install the Microsoft supported deal. There are other people who will support it, but for now, let's just use the Microsoft support. The debugger and Python support, the language support for Python inside VS Code. So let that happen. It will take a few minutes. If you see the number of users who have actually used it, it's a fantastic number, right? Now I will also search for notebook. Now I would install Jupyter Notebook support here. These are the go-to things I would do. Now that I have done this, it's not necessary. Microsoft says it's not necessary. For me, it's more of a practice than anything else. So if you see, VS Code is now available here. You can click that and your editor is run. Now I can say File, New File, and I can create a notebook like we did on Google Colab. And here goes your print. And it says I need to install the Microsoft support. So I would install the first two. Right. So now I could go in there and it says it's asking me to install a package. Give it a minute. It will do that. A series of things will be done in the process. Okay, now you see we have got your notebooks now running on your computer. If you notice, I'm inside VS Code. Let me close the browser for the sake of closing it, and now you realize that code is well and truly running on your computer and it is connected to Python, the one which you just installed. This is how you get your basic development environment set up on Windows. My recommendation is that you try this out at the earliest. Please don't be just watching the videos. Your knowledge gets strengthened when you practice. So practice, practice, practice. So I'll give it a name. I'll save it. I close this, and next time I come, you can always say File, Open Recent, and it will be still available to me. Right, so there you go. It connects to Python and does this a lot faster. You don't need the internet for this, and we are all good. To set only the folder path and not the name of the binary which ends in an exe. Exclude the name of the last part, which that is primarily copied up to the last backslash, and edit the environment variable. Do remember that when you're copying that, you could always make the path mistake of copying the entire binaries path, but just you copy the folder name into path. As a part of the legacy which Windows inherited from its predecessor MS-DOS, it requires you to update it. And this is all true for Mac OS, or for that matter Linux, for the path to be updated. And some of them automatically do certain updates, but if it's not, you would still require to do that. So no great shakes there in terms of updating the path. I hope you remember that you have to type env and update the environment path so that you can use Python successfully with VS Code. And remember to install the Microsoft extensions for the Jupyter Notebook, the Python, and the Python debugger. And all the best. And now you can carry your code with you, run Python code without having to depend on the internet. With that said, catch you in the next session. All the very best.